You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, Moveville University, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Traction System, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, and Imaging Services. Let's hustle. Here, Chiro Hustle Podcast. This is an afternoon edition. I have Jamie PK, and she is a sweetheart fiance of Shiloh Harris. And if you guys don't know who Shiloh Harris is, stay tuned. We're going to talk more about how Jamie and Shiloh are helping with the Patriot Project and what they're doing for the chiropractic and military. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to over there, my sponsor today, Joe Freeman with MedZone. MedZone has a product called Pain Zone. If you guys are dealing with something in between visits, you guys can put the Pain Zone product on, like say you have a cranky elbow or neck, and it'll help you get through to the next adjustment. But Jamie, you are coming in from Texas?
Yes, San Antonio.
San Antonio, and I'm coming to you guys from Colorado, the Grand Valley of the Grand Junction, which is on the western slope of the state. And I like to say it's where no one lives. I came out here to hear the birds chirp. So, Jamie, nice. welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for having Shiloh on a while back. I appreciate that, and thank you for getting it out there about the Patriot Project.
Well, you know, I saw something very special with what you guys were doing. And I saw that there was a at-risk population, and I heard these numbers. Before we jump into the interview, do you know the numbers I'm regarding to?
I don't have them memorized. Like I said, we are just spokesmen and customers, so do not know the facts on that.
Okay. So there's the reason that I was drawn to the Patriot Project to begin with is I heard there were 22 military active and
yes.
out of the military that were committing suicide every day.
Yes, and most of them are the older population.
And that struck me in the heart. And I'm like, how can we get to this and how can we curb this and who's helping with this? And then I was actually at Billy DeMoss and Mary Jane's Cal Jam, and I saw Shiloh speak. And actually it took me 2 years to get Shiloh for an interview.
Well, you know, he's a busy guy, I guess. Yes. He's been to Cal Jam since then.
Yeah, and you know, I just found it as something very special what the chiropractic profession is doing for the military population. Let's jump right into that a little bit and talk what you guys are actually doing for the Patriot Project.
Well, what we primarily try to do is go out to all of the chiropractic organizations, associations, or even through chiropractic I guess you could say, like MedZone, you know, go to any conventions they're at and help them share the message about chiropractic care and how it alleviates so many issues. The Patriot Project looks for chiropractors to join and provide gratis chiropractic care. And I think you had Dr. Tim Novelli on another segment to discuss what the Patriot Project is.
I did,
and we go out and we talk about what chiropractic has done for Shiloh and for our entire family, and not just our blood family, but our family of brothers and sisters out there who struggle immensely with pain and survivor guilt and PTSD and so many other things. And chiropractic is part of our tribe.
Yeah, so I'm just going to throw this out there to everybody. Jamie is not a DC. She is a patient. She's been under care for 35 years. She started at young in age, and then she followed up again back in college. And her story is one of chiropractic helps people stay healthy. And I think that that's the point that people kind of miss, like we were talking off camera. Most people think of chiropractic as helping with somebody that's been involved in some type of accident or some type of chronic condition like headaches.
Yeah, that's correct. I started out, unfortunately, I had a car accident when I was 9 years old. Actually 8. I celebrated my 9th birthday burying my brother who died in that car accident. And the scars and wounds from that accident were not just physical. They're mental, emotional, psychological, and they live with you for life. And if it wasn't for the chiropractors that I had back then, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Not only did I get adjusted, they had massage therapists work with me. They had a naturopath that helped us with our supplements. And my mom, I call her a huppy or a yippie. She's a hippie yuppie. And she raised us with chiropractic care. She raised us to eat healthy. She made our own breads. She made our own fruit roll-ups. She did all those things herself. My brothers were raised on their own vegetables that she ground up. She didn't go buy jars of baby food. She did everything in the home. So we were raised with this whole health care system. And when that car accident happened, our first line of help was chiropractic, massage, and all of those other, I guess you could say, natural ways to help your body heal from the inside out. And I'm not negating medical. Again, in college, as I was moving to college from Oregon to Wisconsin, I was hit. I was hit by a Ford truck in my Honda Civic. And it destroyed the car, totaled the car. And when I got to Wisconsin, I immediately went to a chiropractor. I did not go seek a doctor. I went to a chiropractor. And the wounds that I had were all internal. And they were able to fix everything as far as they could. Massage therapy helped. I did need that. I needed physical therapy. And that started me on a road to whole health care while I was in college. I got to choose. It wasn't my parents telling me, I'm taking you to the chiropractor, or you're going to eat these Brussels sprouts. It was me. And throughout life, that's the way I raised my children, and that's the way I've been. I get a scratchy throat, I first go to the chiropractor.
Well, it's something to be said about the chiropractic lifestyle. And I think that there's a huge confusion in the marketplace when people think about when they start coming down with some type of symptoms. I made a post today, symptoms sell, but the solution is chiropractic. And I think that people, if we can just let people know that whatever their concern is, they should get checked for vertebral subluxation and corrected and adjusted if necessary. But when we come back to the whole idea, most people are like, I'm going to go see the people that will give me some type of thing in one of those little clear orange bottles, and I'm going to do that. But really, like we were talking off camera, that really doesn't cause anything, but the body's going to heal naturally. It just needs no nerve interference, and that's the whole chiropractic philosophy. So when you and I started talking earlier, we started realizing that there's a whole host of things that go along with getting people better, not just with the chiropractic, but with taking care of the whole body and understanding that we have these 6 components that you were talking to me about earlier. And it's do you want to explain that whole chapter that we talked about?
Well, right. Earlier you were sharing that wonderful story about smelling, and that it reminded you of your grandmother. And we have triggers in our body. We have so many senses. Vision, if you read something or you see something, smell, you hear something, you taste something, you touch something, it ignites all of our emotions. And when Shiloh and I get out and speak, we talk about body, mind, spirit. And yes, you have your senses, your body, your mind, your spirit, all the psychological, emotional. But there's 2 things that I wish all chiropractors would go back to, and that we all as humans would remember. We have heart. And if you don't have heart, you don't have passion. You've lost passion in what you're doing. And everyone needs to be passionate about what they're doing. That makes us happy. The other thing is surround yourself with people who help you become better. We call them tribes. Build your tribes. Be a part of somebody's tribe. If you're a chiropractor, be a part of somebody's tribe. And if you can't, refer them to somebody who can. You might not be the right fix for me, but you know another chiropractor that might be. So that's one thing we're passionate about doing. Bring in a massage therapist to your office. Bring an acupuncturist to your office. Bring a naturopath into your office. Have seminars. Do things to teach us. When Shiloh and I first got together, oh my goodness, he thought that it was okay to have love affairs with Little Miss Debbie and Hostess and Twinkies. And he would have his evening guys' nights with Jose, Jack, Tito, and that wasn't healthy. And chiropractic taught me how to be healthy. Just talking to my chiropractor. My chiropractor used to take an extra 10, 15 minutes and ask me in college, Jamie, what are you eating? You're talking about being tired. You're talking about your wrist hurting you because you're on the computer, but what are you doing to keep up? What's keeping your brain going? And that's where I learned more about supplements and essential oils. So all of those things you got to bring in and be a part of that person's tribe and help them be better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's why I support the chiropractic profession so much, because that's my tribe. When I was a young guy, my mom always told me, you're only as good as the company you keep. And I didn't always have the best company. So now what I do is I surround myself with doctors. I get to talk to equivalently a doctor a day. Sometimes I talk to 10 a day. You know, it's amazing the amount of connection that we have with people if we just allow ourselves to walk into those rooms. If we go into the right places, you know, not to the junk food or not to the booze, but we go to the rooms where the people that are actually changing the world are at, like the rooms that you get to go to, and you get to speak to people and you get to engage with the people that are making a positive impact on the future of the world that we live in. I think that those are the tribes I've chosen. And it sounds like you guys have picked similar tribes because that's who you resonate with. You resonate with people that live at a high level frequency, that like to communicate. They like the truth. They like to eat good. They like to talk about what they're doing to stay healthy. And there's the other component that you talked about, not only the chiropractic, but the massage. People need to be touched. We need healing hands. We need people to take care of us. We need people to be, concerned with us. There's nothing, a chiropractor, I don't care who you are out there listening, you can't adjust yourself. So people need you guys. You guys are vital to the advancement of the human potential of this world. Like, you guys are vital to the advancement of the species of humans to keep us healthy and keep our nervous systems functioning at the highest level. But the thing is we have to be touched. There's something that passes energy from healing hands from one person to another. The whatever they call oxytocin releases in people, and it's the happy thing. When you hug somebody for 20 or 30 seconds, they say that the oxytocin releases and it changes your physiology. It's like when I get done hiking, I do Tabata, where I do push-ups and different types of workouts quick for about 4 to 5 minutes, because it resets my physiology and it takes me from a fat burning stage into an endurance stage. But I don't know that unless I put myself around amazingly intelligent people that can tell me how to basically biohack myself and how I can actually learn how to sustain my energy better, and how I can, figure out how to use my fuel for success. And I think so many of us that we get stuck in our ruts where we can't do it ourselves, but we don't know how to ask for help.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Self-care is so difficult. And I can speak of that even as a caregiver. I'll get so focused on taking care of Shiloh and Shiloh's needs, or even when you're a mom and you're taking care of your children. Or if you're a child taking care of an elderly parent, you forget to focus on you. So self-care is so important. And when you're not in the right place, you need your tribe. Call on your tribe. Use your tools and resources. And it's okay for one of your tribe members to say, yeah, you're in a bad place. You're really screwing up. What's wrong with you? You better screw your head on right. What can I do to help you? Because that is what you need at that point in time. It's not always, just like you're saying, the bed of roses. It sometimes has to be, see that grave, you're heading towards it.
Well, Jamie, what happens I've seen in people is they get jammed up and they lose a decade of life. They get jammed up and they distance themselves from the people that love them. They get jammed up and they forget who they are. And they get jammed up. People don't want to employ them anymore. They get jammed up and they lose their friends from high school, and those are their early tribe. But I think that, as we advance with life, we move on to new tribes. I feel like, we get a chance to reinvent ourselves every day. But if we don't live under the tenets of health, then we live in the tenets of sickness. Whether that be something that's going on for us emotionally, like you mentioned, it might be physical, which is the pain idea, but there's that other undertow of having your tribe and having people actually looking after you. You know how many times a day I'll just send a message to somebody, I'll say, hey, how are you doing today?
Exactly.
I might
Exactly.
be
And that means the world to one person.
I might be that one person that said something to that one friend of mine that made them feel emotionally intelligent about who they were that day. And they made a better decision based on me just asking them one thing, hey, how are you today?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't
It's
have to be
amazing.
much. It doesn't have to be much, but we have to be consistent. And anybody out there that ever wants to do what I do and wants to be somebody that people listen to and somebody that becomes an influencer, I'm going to tell you the number one rule: be more consistent. Be the most consistent person. Even when you don't want to show up because people need you. They need your voice. They need your positivity. They need what you possess inside of you. And it's never a bad thing to become great. And I think that people kind of they want to notch themselves down to be mediocre, and they don't want to be great because then great things are expected of them.
Right. You're
So
absolutely right.
let's turn chapters a little bit and let's talk about you being a caregiver to a burn survivor and how that is and what it does for you and your relationship with Shiloh.
Wow. So I will have to say, we were talking about self care. It's very
Mm-hmm.
important that I step back at times and make sure I'm caring for myself and putting myself first. Taking care of a combat and burn survivor, you're dealing with psychological, emotional, and physical scars. And we will be working on those until the day he dies. You know, he's going to have another surgery here next month. As a matter of fact, exactly June 22nd, we have another surgery coming up. That's where medical's needed. Chiropractic can't fix his hands and his eyes, but they help him maintain between surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
So caring for him is very difficult. There are daily things we have to do. There are daily natural techniques we have to do. There's daily massage therapy, physical therapy things that we have to take care of. Supplements. He takes supplements every day. And when he doesn't, he feels it.
Mm-hmm.
If he eats junk food, and when I mean right now, and thank goodness, he doesn't touch McDonald's. He doesn't touch a fast food restaurant because he gets sick from it. And he realized once he started on that whole health lifestyle, I mean, he would buck me tooth and nail. Oh, I'm just going to go to McDonald's. I'm like, fine, go to McDonald's. I'm going to wait until we get home and I can have a salad or I can have salmon or whatever it was. And he started noticing he was getting sick and weak and tired. The more he would resist making the change. And that was hard. Now he's in a much, much better place. The suicidal ideation still comes and goes at times, but you talked about the 22. It's more like 30 through statistics. And he's learned through counseling. That's another natural way to go. Talk to a counselor, get a counselor you love seeing. Through his counseling, through supplements, through his diet, and through chiropractic and exercise, he really lives a very healthy lifestyle. He looks good. He can mountain climb. He can go hiking with you. I mean, unless you're doing like 10-mile hikes a day, but we go bike riding. We go scuba diving. I mean, he's a burn survivor. They've said he would never be able to do that, and he does just fine. But it's through all of that care that he does fine.
Yeah, and something that you didn't mention there, we call that the chiropractic lifestyle. And the more that people eat well, think well, move well, and get adjusted, the better quality of life there is long term. I've told people that numerous times. I scheduled in over 2,500 new patients in 36 months. I did 600 screen events going out to the public, meeting people, being the evangelist for chiropractic, telling them that this can help them. I've told them I never recommend a chiropractic to anybody that their life didn't improve.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody that goes and gets chiropractic, their life improves, period. And I would tell people that with full enthusiasm and full emotion and full heart. And that's why people would show up 70% of the time to those visits that I scheduled, because I was always present with them. And then, what's funny is sometimes people would be like, I don't believe in chiropractic. Okay. So there's this guy named Sid Williams. Some of you guys out there listening might know this guy, but Sid Williams started Life College of Chiropractic down in Marietta, Georgia. And he would do these assemblies I don't know how often he would do them, but when the student assemblies would happen, he would get the keys out of his pocket, he'd jangle the keys, and he'd drop them. And I would do this at these screen events that I would go to. And I would say, chiropractic works just like gravity, whether you believe it or not.
Ah, that is great. That is
because
great.
It's not a belief system. It's chiropractic. It's not even a health system. It's chiropractic. It's not a medical system. It's chiropractic. Chiropractic is a standalone life-giving care. And it's chiropractic care. It's chiropractic lifestyle. But that's just it. Like you said, chiropractic will teach people to eat well. Like you were dealing with, Shiloh was dealing with. Real life people don't know how to eat well. You would think that we become equipped with this like superpower to say, okay, I should eat that, not that. But we become inundated with the commercials. We become inundated with bad choices, and almost we don't have a good choice. And by the time we get to the choice-making decision, we're kind of already indoctrinated into this idea of just go buy stuff, bring it home, and eat it.
You're absolutely right. When the kids walk in the door from school, and even my kids, I have noticed that when they go to other houses, they aren't like our house. By the time they walk in the door, I've already taken grapes and oranges and I've peeled them. I've cut up celery. I have the carrots out. I'll have hummus out with them or something to accompany it if they want to use it. It's already ready. All they have to do is grab it. Then they aren't searching in the pantry for something else. And yes, I'm not going to say we don't have, our guilty pleasures. We might have a bag of, I don't know, right now I'm thinking turmeric chips, but even those aren't that great. We might have a bag of Cheetos in there because we do have our guilty pleasures. But everything we buy is organic. It might not be the name brand Cheetos, but, it's an organic brand of them. We try to stay away from, though, anything that's bagged or boxed in a container that isn't coming from the earth. We really try our best, and it's hard. It takes discipline.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, Moveville University, Pure Chiro Notes, Dr. Alok Trivedi, the Black Diamond Club, Element Mattresses, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Vita Chiropractic, the Universal Traction System, MedZone, Vantage Point Marketing, and Imaging Services. Let's hustle. Yeah, and the other part of that, the whole lifestyle, is the think well. And I think that that's a part that so many people overlook, and that's what a big part of our next film, Project Patient, is going to be. And it's going to talk about how chiropractic is helping with some things that we're going to touch on here in a second, which is PTSD. It's going to talk about how chiropractic has an influence on addiction. It's going to talk about how chiropractic has an influence on anxiety and, depression and things that we harbor inside of us and we don't know how to get help for. But I think that more people understood that chiropractic puts their hands on you. They talk to you. They give you their time and attention and love. One of the things that you said is important. So when we teach people how to express themselves and to think well, I think that that's a massive component to the Carrying On with Life campaign. And I think that so many people don't know how to carry on with life because, like I said, they get jammed up. And they lose their identity and they don't know how to communicate that to people. They get jammed up. They have problems at work. They don't know how to communicate that to people. So they look for an outside in solution and they might catch on to some type of alcoholism, or they might catch on to some type of a poor behavior where they're, self-abusing themselves with something. So the more that we can teach people to, to eat this good stuff and then to think the good stuff, then we transition them, Jamie, into the next thing. And that's being in movement. And the body is meant to be in motion. It's not meant to be sedentary. It's not meant to wake up, go sit and eat, then walk 50 feet to a car, get in the car, drive for an hour or more, or maybe less. And then the next thing they do is they go in and they sit, they take a lunch break, they sit, they take the rest of their workday, they sit, they get back in their car where they walk maybe 100 feet, get in that car, drive more the same distance home, and they come home and eat again and they sit.
Right.
People are not making enough time to take care of themselves. We think that the bottom line of growing someone else's business is more important than our personal health.
You're absolutely right. And I'm going to give you a prime example of that. This morning at 8 o'clock, I was just finishing up my workout, and I got a text message. Hey, is there any way that you can be at this location? We want to do a TV interview, and we'd really like to have you be a part of it. Now, I could have stopped, said, yep, this is really important because I believe in it, and actually was for a chiropractic device that we own. And I had to say no, because I'm not going to rush and get stressed to provide somebody else with them being able to sell their device. And I'm not saying I don't believe in the device. I'm not saying I don't believe in what they're doing. What I didn't want to do is stress myself out and sit in my car and drive an hour to go do this, and to rush and then try to be back here to do something I was already at. And again, my workout wasn't finished. I make sure every day I work out. That is so important to me. Even if it's just doing stretching yoga.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the picture perfect body. And that's another thing about chiropractic. But, I work out every day. What I put into my body is important. How I take care of my body. My workout might be grabbing my dog, going for a hike.
Yeah.
It might be a 45-minute drive for us to get there, and we're only hiking 2 or 3 miles, and then we get back in the car and we drive back. That's fine, but I'm still getting out there and moving.
It's important.
And we talk about that with our business and in our speaking events. Our new book that hopefully will come out this year, we talk about all of these things. It's so important.
Yeah, that chiropractic lifestyle can't be overlooked, but most people, like in my post today, people were commenting back and forth about, keep it philosophical. Don't try to sell the symptom because that's not what chiropractors do. But I said, hey, when I was 16 years old, if it wasn't for me getting in a car crash, I would have never gone to a chiropractor. And you guys wouldn't have me here today being the advocate that I am that wholeheartedly believes in chiropractic, because people don't know where to go or who to trust. They don't know. So if we're not advocates and we're not our own megaphones and we're not out there being our own evangelists, telling people about chiropractic services, that it works for me, that it's good for moms, it's good for babies, it's good for people that have been injured, it's good for athletes, of course, and it's good for this at-risk population. And we're not even getting into this crisis of the opiate epidemic, but we're going to talk more about what it is to get people healthy with the Patriot Project. So I know that where can people go if they're interested in learning more about Patriot Project?
The best way to go is through their website, patriot-project.org. And that's the best place that they can go to find out any information. If a chiropractor wants to join, they can join. When Shiloh and I travel nationwide, we travel internationally, but nationwide, we go to that website, look for a chiropractor, call up and say, hey, here's who we are. We'd like to come in and get an adjustment if you have an opening. Any veteran can do that. Any chiropractor can sign up and click on the link that says become a practitioner and volunteer.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. And after I talked to Dr. Tim Novelli, I found out that there's 8,000 active Patriot Project offices out there. And if you guys didn't know this, on the state side, there's something around 60,000 licensed chiropractic practitioners. So we're seeing the momentum rise, and I feel by the ball this year in November that we'll get to the 10,000 practitioners that are actually taking care of people gratis underneath the Patriot Project program.
Right, and he's not asking you to take care of everybody. I mean, by all means, you definitely need to have a thriving practice. I know that running a business myself or having had and sold a few successful businesses. But what we need to do is if you help one person a week, one person, that might be in one of the 30 that you just saved. You never know. Or maybe that's the person you adjusted and helped and is bringing back into your office all of their friends.
Hmm. It's good PR and it's good to give back. There's a quote that you just touched on there. It's by BJ Palmer. It says, "You never know how far something you do today, how far reaching something you do or say today will have the effect on millions of lives tomorrow."
I love the Palmers. I love that college. Thank goodness that, the Palmers existed because I don't think chiropractic would be where it's at today without them.
Yeah, the testimony is everybody found chiropractic through their tribes. Okay, like everybody became a chiropractor because of that one movement. And that's how
Yeah.
strong we can be if we have conviction in something. We can all create a movement that is as profound as the profession of chiropractic if we really believe in what is inside of us and we believe that people need it. And I think
Right.
that that's why they dedicated it and they gave everything. You know, when people say I'm all in, well, BJ and Dee Dee, those boys were all in.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. It's beautiful, beautiful location, beautiful school, beautiful. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not even trained in medical at all. And I walked in the doors and I just love that place. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I felt like I had a very special. I grew up in Davenport, Iowa, and I felt like I walked in the shadows of greatness.
Yes.
And me being out there in that community, it allowed me to see so much. I always wondered who these guys walking up and these gals walking up the streets were. They were the future doctors. You know, I was a little boy and I saw these people, these, I didn't know who they were, but they always looked fit. They always looked like they had their act together. And I just assumed that, you know, there was like some type of, they went to work. I figured that they were just going to work. Whereas, you know, now as I've grown up, I realized that those were the doctors that were, you know, practicing and carrying on the stewardship of chiropractic.
Right. Yes, yes. How lucky you are.
You know, it's a blessing, but you wouldn't even think. You know, I went to one of the fraternities about 2 years ago now, and I spoke there, and I asked everybody to raise their hand who's been adjusted. I said, "Who's been adjusted today? Who's been adjusted this week? Who's been adjusted this month? 6 months?" Until everybody's hands got up. Okay, and you would think the fountainhead of chiropractic, where the profession started, that the city around it would be healthy with chiropractic services. And then I asked them, who show of hands, who do you think who thinks that the city of Davenport, Iowa is healthy? Pin could have
Mm,
dropped. The pin could have dropped. They congratulate themselves for living the chiropractic lifestyle, and they're the force of change for the future of the profession. And they're telling me that they're living in a sick city. I said, we have work to do. We have a lot of work to do. And until you guys flip your switch and go out there and get people healthy, then you guys are just going to go out there and coast along and be a chiropractor that doesn't really have the conviction inside of you.
right. Right. You're
So
absolutely right.
I felt like I lit a fire underneath that group of that fraternity that night. But I think that we have to light that fire inside of us too. You know, I can't be the one that does that for people. Sometimes people have to do that for themselves.
Yeah, they do, and Shiloh talks about that in his first book about when they walked into his room and said, "Hey, we need you to take 10 steps," and he took 3 shuffles and literally collapsed, and he had a pity party for days, weeks. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Then he changed it to, "How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? What do I need to do to get from here to going mountain bike climbing or mountain bike riding and mountain climbing and scuba diving? How can I do it?" So you're right, you got to find it in yourself.
And Jamie, you said something really special there. The people need Shiloh. They need him to have the self-confidence, the self-esteem, the strength, the quality of life, because people depend on his message. He is doing so much for humanity. He's doing so much for people that need a voice. So many times people might not know that chiropractic's the answer, and now he's doing his part to let people know that there is a solution for them.
Well, thank you for saying that, and we hope we are going out there and making a difference. We hope that chiropractors really listen, and we hope that they start to follow their passion, what they went into chiropractic for originally, and that they belong to many people's tribes. That's our goal, is that for chiropractors to belong to thousands of tribes out there. And just like you said, our tribes change, so they can do it.
Well, the last topic I wanted to touch on with you, and I know this is something that Shiloh's probably had a challenge with over his time, especially after he had the incident where he got blown up. He lost some of his best buds. Let's talk a little bit about survivor guilt and what that means, because I wasn't really aware of what that meant until you explained it to me.
Well, thank you for bringing it up. Survivor guilt is very real. It's real with anyone who's had loss. I had survivor's guilt at the age of 9. I was holding my brother when he perished. And you ask yourself, why me? Why am I still alive? When Shiloh lost his 3 combat men, his brothers, and they were young men, he really asked himself, why me? And that question he's never stopped asking. There are nights where he doesn't feel worthy of living, and they should be alive because there's 3 young men. So it's all guilt. It's like any guilt that we have, but he relives it again and again, and anybody relives it. That they are alive, and a person that was either better than them, you feel like you don't deserve to be alive. And you question it. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just as bad as having PTSD, because it makes you think, I shouldn't be alive, I should kill myself. Puts you through states of depression. I have a mom, and my mom gets to enjoy me. But those 3 men, their mothers don't get to enjoy them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really sobers people up. It sobers people's existence up to know that there's people out there that are walking around that have sensitive issues inside of them. And there might be a reason why they're a little tuned up with their personalities, or there might be a little reason why they're a little deficient in how they communicate to people. But these are like the scars that people carry that no one ever knows how they got scarred. And, let's talk a little bit about the PTSD, and that's kind of like the silent scar as well. What does that do to somebody, especially somebody that you're close to?
Oh, PTSD is hard to deal with, because you think that person is being aggressive to you or violent towards you, and I don't mean physically, but is saying things to you, and you take them personally. But really, it's what's going on in their head. There's shortages. And some of it is PTSD. Some of it is TBI, traumatic brain injury. Some of it is the survivor guilt. There's many things that accompany PTSD. It's not just one thing, and everybody is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's stress. It's traumatic stress. I mean, that's in the diagnosis. So traumatic stress that you have, and you choose how to deal with that stress. But you need people around you to help. You can't do it alone. You need a significant partner or a parent or whoever is your caregiver to help you. And that caregiver can't be a mean person, a violent person, a self-centered person. That person needs to be needs to have the tools and the resources and the empathy and the understanding. They need to be trained on what survivor guilt, PTSD, and TBI is. They need to know how to handle it. And counseling helps. Chiropractic helps. All of those things really do help.
And it sounds like the person that's going through the situation has almost as challenging of a road ahead of them as the people that are providing the care to them. And it seems like, not only do we need the person to be sorted out that's providing care, but we need the person that's getting the care to have kind of a reentry program back into society. And
Yes.
I touched on that with you earlier. Is we need solutions for people. We need a reentry back into culture. We need a reentry back into society for the vets and for the retired military, for the discharged military. We need some type of a system that will assist them. And I love what the chiropractors are doing with the Patriot Project. It's like stone number one in the building. It's like the cornerstone for the future of how we are going to win this chiropractic, getting chiropractic to people. It starts with what we're doing, and that's why I waited and I was patient, so patient to the fact that I knew that film two was going to come out and it was going to focus on these topics. And before Tim Novelli knew who I was, before Shiloh Harris knew who I was, I said those guys are going to be in my movie because I knew that they had the story that people needed. I knew that they had the ability to touch lives through their stories and through what chiropractic is doing. And it gives people an idea what maybe a reentry program looks like. And it can start with chiropractic. And, when with the opiate addiction and the opiate epidemic going on in our nation, it's a reentry project. It's a reentry program that gets people back into society and doesn't allow them to decay. And I think that if we really care about our brother and sister, then we have to figure out a way to get people under a health system that provides them a care that actually helps and it doesn't suppress. It actually allows people to open up and become a better version of themselves instead of, there's nothing worse, Jamie, than hearing somebody say, they're attached to a prescription or they're attached to being sick, or the number one thing they do on their day is they go to the doctor and they have 3 doctor's visits this week, and that's what monopolizes their time. So they're taking it, they're going into a sick care system, and they're not getting the help that they need. So I really think that we need reentry programs for people that are dealing with any type of a psychological disorder, physical disorder, anything that's going on. We need to get people integrated back into a good course of lifestyle to where they can contribute and feel valued again.
And I agree. And there's some people you aren't going to be able to change. There's
Oh,
some
sure.
patients that they aren't going to change. They like being victims to society. They like having to go to doctors. They like having to be on prescriptions. They like being disabled. They don't turn their disability into an ability. You do have to, you only work on so much with a person until you're ready to say, you know what, you're on your own. I've helped you as far as I can help you. Now it's draining me. I'm no longer going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, and I can see that too, that there's a certain level of discipline that has to come into how you allow somebody to behave around you. It's like having kids. You only allow so much before you put your foot down. And that's the way we are. Like you said, if you're in your tribe and people see you slipping, they have to be the one to say, go find somebody to sort you out, sort yourself out, start figuring something out. I had a really bad time a couple years ago with drinking too much. And I had a good friend, Phil, my friend Phil Armour. He came and grabbed me up off of the couch. He said, if you don't start going to the gym with me tomorrow for 5 days a week for as long as I say, you're not going to have a place to live. So he grabbed me up, and what I do? I got in the best shape of my life. I went to the gym with him 5 days a week, and I was bench pressing 200 pounds 20 times, playing racquetball 3 days a week, riding my bike 16-mile bike rides. But it takes somebody to be an advocate for us, and it takes
Part of
us
your
that.
tribe, yes.
But
yes.
it takes us to get out of our own way to continue it.
Right. Oh,
So
I agree. You got to have it. It has to start with you. Starts with me.
we all have new beginnings waiting for us. We just have to make the decision to allow that into our life.
Oh, I agree. Totally agree.
Well, we're coming up on the edge of our time today. Is there anything I didn't touch on with you that you would like to discuss with our audience?
I just wanted to remind everybody to go out to the Patriot Project, patriot-project.org, see how you can help veterans, and go to our website. If there's a speaking event or you want us to come out and talk to you, Shiloh has a book out there, one book about his life. We're writing another book. Actually, we're writing two, and it's about steps for life, and it's a self-help book, and I'm hoping that everyone can use it because it's geared towards absolutely everyone.
And if you guys are watching this, I'll put the link for the Patriot Project in the comments. And if you guys are watching this on replay, put hashtag Patriot Project so we know that more people are watching this and they got all the way to the end. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you to Joe Freeman with Pain Zone and sponsoring this episode. If you guys are interested in finding out more about his product, go to painzone.com and reach out to Joe Freeman. He'll be able to help you out with that. And I just want to say, Jamie, thank you so much for being a patient guest today and doing so much to advance Shiloh's life to where he can have an impact on his military brothers and sisters, and we can help make a positive influence and spin chiropractic with the proper type of ideas into the public's eye by giving back to the military.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Jim, for having both of us on. And if you ever need us back, you know where to find us.
Awesome. Well, you have a blessed rest of your day. And I'm going to close out by saying you're just one story away. Keep hustling. Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.